Hello and welcome to Netflix versus Cinema. We have one question for you. Big stream or big screen? Will you stay at home and watch things on your sofa, or will you get out of your house and go to a cinema to watch something on a big screen? Is there still value in that nowadays?
Let's get ready to rumble!
My name is Tosin and I am the host of the show, and on this show called Netflix vs. Cinema, what we do is that we use a very flimsy way to try and figure out who's winning the battle. We go and we watch stuff. We go and we watch stuff in cinemas, we rate them out of 5. We stay at home and we watch stuff and then we rate them out of 5. And then each week, we give everything, an average rating of how did cinema do this week? How did Netflix and Friend do this week? How did they do? Yeah, and that's how we figure it out. But joining me, as always, on the Isle of Wight is Shaun Harris.
Hello.
Yes, Shaun, who's a resident 70s expert, and don't bring a horror movie to Shaun unless you are planning to do something good. Don't give us films that do not have logic in them, because Shaun will track them down and he will eviscerate them. and also joining us on the Isle of Wight is Sharon.
Hello.
Yes, Sharon. Sharon is our resident. If a book has been turned into a film, Sharon has probably read the book, and if something is animated, Sharon's not watching it. So... It's pretty much the case. Well, missing today is our London correspondent, Holly, but we will probably see her next week. So happy New Year, guys. First official podcast of this year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, because I think we recorded a kind of because we had Dave Beaton, who did us like this sort of, he essentially took all of our stats of all the films we reviewed in 2025, and the last show we did was us in general just going through a whole bunch of stuff that he'd given us and pointed out about how we reviewed things and what the distribution was and all that kind of stuff. And really, he's listened to it and he sent me a message and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm listening to it now," and he signed off the message, Sheldon. And
well. I tell you, it was really interesting. So we got a lot to thank him for that.
Yeah, it was really interesting things that we didn't notice about what we, but it's you know how when you have a theory and you think, okay, yeah, this is why Netflix versus cinema, this is why, but the theory isn't really backed up with anything. It's just kind of like how you feel, and then he comes up with the stats, and you're actually like, oh yeah, there it is in the stats that backs up what it is that we're saying. But anyway, if you want to know more about that, we will not go more into statistics and all that kind of stuff. Listen to our last show. Listen to our last show, which was who won 2025. And but now this week, let's kick off by talking about what it is we have seen in the cinema. Shaun, fire away.
Okay, well, I saw before we did the show. I saw the Avatar movie, Fire
and Ash, yeah.
Fire and Ash, and then I went to see Anaconda. No, sorry, I tell you, like Marty Supreme, and then Anaconda. So Marty Supreme was great, and then I went to see Anaconda because our friend that occasionally has a
Happy John.
Happy John.
Anaconda is a Happy John movie through and through.
Yeah, but it's not. He was like, I knew it was going to be rubbish.
Well, but I mean, it's the kind of film that he will go and see, even if he thinks it's going to be rubbish.
Because I said to him as well, I said, come and see Marty Supreme. He goes, no, nothing about it. I said, well, just come and try it. It's worth a lot. You never know. No, I don't fancy it. And I actually sent a text. I said, so you'll go and see Anaconda, knowing that you think it's not going to be very good, and you were right. You didn't think it was very good, but you won't take a chance on Marty Supreme. So yeah. Anyway.
It does seem very, very much like it's very much a Happy John movie. So okay, yes. so Marty Supreme, Avatar, Anaconda. Okay, cool. Those are the 3 you've seen. How about you, Shaun? What you seen in cinemas?
I have seen Song Sung Blue at the cinema.
All right, Hugh Jackman kind of playing Neil Diamond.
Yes, kind of.
Kind of playing Neil Diamond.
Oh, that's going to be intriguing.
So it's a Song Sung Blue, and we have Anaconda and Marty Supreme. All right, and I saw Anaconda. I saw Anaconda as well. I went to see Anaconda last night because of all the things I was because you guys started saying what you'd started seeing in 2026, and I thought, oh yeah, I think Anaconda would give like a different flavor, because we said in one of our previous shows that come December, January in the UK anyway, this is when all the films that are trying to go for your consideration for the Oscars start releasing that. And I was kind of like, yeah, this is a film that's definitely not doing that. This is a film that's definitely not trying to go for any Oscars. And it's kind of, so I was like, yeah, you know what? I think that might actually be, that might work for us. All right, cool. So in that case, we'll put that. And how about at home? What have you seen at home?
Okay, well, at home, I've watched quite a few odd bits here and there, but the two things that stuck in my mind, which I can think of, is 2000. It was Future Shock, which was a documentary about the 2000 AD comic, was obviously, 70s. And I watched, and I actually watched it last night on Amazon. Was the Tank, or I think it's called Tiger, because I think there's another film called The Tank from a few years ago. But this is
I saw the poster for The Tank. It seemed like a bargain basement fury.
Yes, that's the one. Yes. Yeah.
It seemed like the Brad Pitt movie. It seemed like a bargain basement. Amazon. I mean, we did we have all these shorts that we cut out of everything. Every now and then we clip up something from our show and we put it up on YouTube. And one of them is about Amazon Prime being the new bargain basement, the new blockbuster bargain basement. And I saw The Tank and I was like, yeah, Amazon, you're not really doing your argument because this looks like you've totally just gonna say, oh, there's that film. Let's make a version of that film for 2p, which kind of relates to Anaconda, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
All right, so you said The Tank.
Yes, I've tried to get into Fallout, the second season, but I haven't really got quite into that yet. And I just remembered something, but it was different. It was a thing called The Last Front.
Okay, not The Last Frontier. The Last Front, not The Last Frontier.
Yeah, no, not The Last Frontier. The Last Front. It's,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How about you, Sharon?
I've seen 3 things to completion. Well, 4. The one, The Abandons on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
That Cutter Western series. Yep. I saw that, all of it. I've seen a documentary called The Salt Path Scandal.
Oh yes.
I'm interested in sort of reviewing that with you, and that was a documentary on Sky.
Okay.
And then I have also finished the Titanic Sinks Tonight, which don't necessarily have to review. Yeah. And I have finished Pluribus.
Pluribus. Okay, yeah. Because you see, I saw the Titanic Sinks Tonight thing, and it seemed a bit exploitationary to me. So I was kind of like, why are we reliving this trauma over and over and over again? It's like, and here tonight we're gonna go minute by minute to see how the Titanic sunk, and I'm like, that's a little bit creepy, really. It's like, because in my mind I'm thinking, and now the lower decks will be running out of air, and I'm like, what the heck? And so I just kind of thought, I don't know why it had a very sort of like true crime thing to me, and I didn't know about that. Okay, so we've had The Abandons, we had Pluribus, and so just because of time that we have, I'm going to tell you the things that I have put down, and you guys tell me if you think you're okay with this. On cinema, Marty Supreme, Song Sung Blue, and Anaconda. Push Avatar to next week because that isn't going anywhere. And that isn't going anywhere. And I think on this podcast, we've gone on at length about what we think about the Avatar franchise.
Yeah. And that's pretty much. We could probably do that in about two minutes.
I think just because of how big the films are, it requires a bit of a longer discussion. But I feel like we could cut and paste our last discussion about Avatar and put it in here. So
totally agree with your toast. Totally agree.
Yeah. So but that's just, and then on TV, I've got The Abandons, I've got Pluribus, and I've got The Tank.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good. So
that sounds perfect. Yeah.
3 things in cinema, 3 things at home. Put them up against each other. We'll see. Let's see who comes out in this fight. Ding, ding, ding. Round 1.
Here we go.
So let's kick off with cinema, as is our words, and we're going to kick off with Marty Supreme. So, Shaun, I'm going to try and do. Sometimes what I do on the show is I try and give like a bit of a synopsis. Then we wind Shaun up and we let Shaun just tell us what he thought about the film. Yeah. And so Marty Supreme. What I know about this is that it is Timothée Chalamet playing a guy called Marty Reisman, I think it is. Yep. And he's playing an American table tennis champion, and this is set in the 50s or 60s?
50s.
50s. It's set in the 50s, and that's all people have said, and like, just going through his life and everything like that. And then everything else I've heard about this after that makes it sound like it's this guy who is based on a real character, but is slightly fictionalized. And it makes me think, are we getting into Forrest Gump territory, where it's just going to be like all these historical things happening, and we're going to dump this guy in it? But Shaun, tell us, is that true? What is this actually about?
No, it's not like that. It's just so it's about this guy that is he's got one mission in life, and that is to play table tennis, compete in the world championship.
Yeah.
And how he has to do it. He's got no money for traveling. He's got no resources. His family. So basically, he needs the money to travel to England for this table tennis competition. And so he's basically going to all these people that he knows, and he's pushing himself on business people, and anyway, he gets there. I won't say he gets there. He's just relentless all the time. That's the one thing. He's got a
one-track mind.
Purpose in life, yeah. And it's all these, how he tries to sort of use people and, just anything to get money. He sort of sees someone, so he might see a businessman, or see a ticket or something, and then he'll go, I want to stay. Anyway, put it this way, he gets the money to go to the UK, to England, to play in the table tennis, world table tennis championship. And he gets to the semi-final, and he gets beaten by a Japanese player. And it's starting to become really, really big. But obviously he upsets. He goes and stays in, blags himself into the Ritz Hotel. And there happens to be like a faded Hollywood star, and her husband is like a pen sale, he owns a big pen company. Anyway, cut a long story short, he's got to get the money. He wants to go, so he gets banned from they say, you can't play in the Japanese competition because the next world championships is in Japan.
Okay.
So and they're basically saying, no, you can't play. Anyway, he gets he manages to persuade to get sponsored to play the Japanese player who beat him.
Okay.
But he's got to compromise his position, and to start off with, he's sort of, I can't do that because they want him to do some really, he says, if I pay for you to go over, you can come on the plane, we can do that, but you'll have to play. You can't play in the competition, but if you play the chap who beat you.
Yeah.
So that's basically
like a revenge match or something.
Yeah. So, but he tries, right. So that's what happens. But I'll tell you now. So it's all these situations that he goes into trying to get stuff. Like he goes to really, really, really low apartment to stay, and something happens, and there's a Jewish chap that says, "Oh, if you look after my dog while I'm in hospital," and the dog disappears, and he gets beaten up, and there's just all sorts of things going on. But what I really liked about this is, I wouldn't say it's light-hearted, but to me it seemed really, really, I love my reality.
Yeah.
Because he goes and he sees the head of the table tennis thing, and he's pleading with him and begging with him, and they say, no, you burnt your bridges, you're not getting a chance to play. And like the dog, obviously this someone they want to find the dog because it's a big reward, and they find out where it is. But it's just like it's pretty mad, it's pretty crazy, a bit like me. That's what I could relate to this guy, and it's just like, yeah.
It seems like they're just taking a character. They just, from what you're saying, it sounds like they're just throwing a whole bunch of almost disjointed events at him and seeing how this guy's going to react in the middle of them.
Yeah. Pretty much like that. It's just a lot of situations. But the thing is, what I like about it is the real situations. He's got to blag his way, and he upsets people along the way, and he's. It's funny, although he's really, really quite a obnoxious, not very nice character. You sort of sympathise him with a strange sort of way, Or I can relate to. I mean, he's doing anything he can because he thinks he's going to be the best. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty relentless. A lot of stuff going on, and what I perceive as probably not is that it was all proper stuff that happened. He gets chased by the police, he gets arrested, and he doesn't get off with stuff. It was a bit like I reviewed the relay, where
relay where you liked it because it was realistic.
you're not going to blag your way into somewhere. You know what I mean? You're not going to do that. And people can say, no, you've burnt your bridges, mate. You know what I mean? It's not happening. You can't just do that and then everything's going to be all right. So,
okay, so it sounds like you quite liked it.
I love this film. Yeah, I thought it was great. What a great start to the year.
And it also sounds to me like I think that your Timothée Chalamet is going up in your estimation.
Big time. He was such a believer. Well, in fact, yeah, the acting was really, really, really good. And as I say, the action was relentless. I really enjoyed it. It didn't seem a long time. I didn't really know what to expect. There's not too much on the table tennis. It's not
about the table tennis.
Yeah, it's not about the table tennis, really. It's just about a guy and his power. And wow, I won't.
Okay. We need to move on before you give me the star. The fact that you haven't mentioned any other actors in this film makes me think that it's pretty much the Timothée Chalamet show.
Pretty much. Yeah. No, it is. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. How many stars did you give this?
I'm going to give this one a big high 4-star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to put any decimal points on it from remember what Dave was saying about?
Are we allowed decimal? Have we decided we're allowing decimal points?
We're going to try decimal points this year. It's 2026. New Year's resolutions. We're going to try decimal points on 4.625.
4.6.
Adjust it to a 4.6. We're going to adjust it to a 4.6 because I was thinking that we could try doing it out of 10, but then I was like, that just feels a bit too unwieldy. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. All right, cool. That is 4.6. A great start to 2026 for Shaun in cinema. Cinema coming out swinging with all those Oscar contenders. And now we're going to go to Netflix, and we're going to talk The Abandons. So this is Gillian Anderson. It is Lena Headey, Western fight. So tell us about this, Sharon. What is this all about?
Yeah, this is a Netflix drama written by and imagined by Kurt Sutter, who's the imagination behind Sons of Anarchy.
Yep.
And he's done other things, but that's his big show. And the Mayans, I think it is.
Mayans MC, yeah.
And there's other things he's done. He's behind this Western. It's set in sort of 1840s, 1850s, I believe. In the sort of there's the West has expanded, but the railway hasn't quite crossed the continent yet, so it's still a bit rough and ready. Yep. And we've got Gillian Anderson plays this matriarch of this family who are in this silver town where they have a silver mine, and they are beginning to sort of get their wealth from this silver. They haven't had the gold rush yet, so it's pre the big gold strike. So silver is like the big money, and there's this valley that's been claimed or homesteaded by these different groups of people, and there's this one matriarch of that family, Lena Headey, who is has adopted this mismatch of children. They're all grown up now, but she's an Irish sort of woman who's emigrated from from Ireland, and she's adopted a young Irish girl, a young sort of white boy, a young black man, a black boy, they're all sort of young men, a young sort of indigenous girl, and so she calls them the abandoned because they're people that have been abandoned by society, and she's gathered together and she's formed this sort of like family.
I was wondering what that title meant.
Yeah, so they're the abandons, and other people who live there is like a guy who's been running, who's hiding from the law, so he sort of lives there with his daughter. There's another guy who's lost his wife and child, and he sort of lives alone with his dog. And they're these sort of oddbods who live in this valley, and they've discovered that there's silver in the valley, and so Gillian Anderson wants the valley, and they say, well, no, this is our homes, we're not leaving. And so they start this almost like a range war where she's trying to get them out, and then the crisis point comes in episode 1 when Gillian Anderson has got 3 children. She's got 2 sons and a daughter, and one of the sons is a complete nut job, and he fancies the daughter of one of the abandons, and she humiliates him in public. So he goes there, and he enacts a brutal form of revenge against his daughter.
God.
And there are consequences to this act. And now this act sends sort of like this sort of a seismic tremor through the valley, and from that point things start to fall apart, where you get increased tension, increased violence, and increased and it ultimately leads to this confrontation between these two mothers. But it's head to head of these two mothers.
Well, you see now, bearing in mind that this is Kurt Sutter. Kurt Sutter, first of all, who came up with this show, and the last big Western thing that Netflix did was American Primeval. I'm not expecting good, happy rainbows or anything like that. So, okay, so I imagine that it gets bloody. I imagine it gets graphic. I imagine it's not nice.
So this particular sort of brutality at the beginning, it's more suggested than seen. You see enough to know what happened.
Yeah.
And so it's not as gratuitous or as titivating as I think some programs have fallen into the habit of doing with this sort of thing. So it's more suggested than seen. But yeah, that is the catalyst that sets off everything disintegrating, this one event and the consequences of it. And it's sort of basically it's the first shot in what would become this full-on.
And I'd imagine that obviously
between these two matriarchs, I think that's the difference between that. Those are two women, and it's the women who are being brutal, the women who are ordering this brutality, and they're the ones who have got the minds who are like maneuvering the men around. They're not the victims; they are the ones with the agency in this town.
So if I may, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is probably something they want to go on for multiple seasons. So I'm guessing that there isn't much resolution in this first season.
No, there's a cliffhanger at the end. So
I figured. Okay, then. But with that being said, how many stars would you give it?
For me, it's a three-star film. It's solid. It's okay, but I think there's flaws in it. I think there's flaws in the characters. There's flaws in the development of the characters. So some people do things you think, as you said, about being grounded in reality, about other things you've reviewed. Things some need to be grounded in reality, and I think sometimes they write characters to behave in a way they want the character to behave, rather than for them to behave the way people behave. And so I think some of the reactions, it's like that works very well on a television program, but isn't naturally the way that someone probably would react in those circumstances. So I think sometimes the writing and the cleverness of the writing, or what they think is the cleverness of the writing, takes away a little bit of that underpinning, the grounding in reality.
Yeah. Oh, right. Cool. The other thing as well is that Kurt Sutter actually left the show halfway through production. So I was wondering whether that would show in like almost like a mismatch of themes or anything like that. Okay, cool. But 3 stars for The Abandons. And now let us get on to Anaconda. Let's get to Anaconda. Now, those of you who were around in the 90s and watching cinema in the 90s might remember this title, Anaconda. It was the film that really sort of like put Jennifer Lopez out there as a film star. It was like, look, she can lead a movie. I'm trying to rack my brains. I'm thinking I can't remember much that she did before she did Anaconda. And so it had Anaconda in it. It had Owen Wilson, Eric Stoltz, Ice Cube, John Voight, and it was this group of people. And it was a very kind of hoary old concept that you had a lot in the 90s. This group of people are trying to go down, like, the Amazon River because they're trying to search this thing that's going to give them a cure for something or other. And the thing is, I'm not entirely sure that's the plot, but I'm pretty sure that's because that was the plot of most monster movies in the 90s. Is we're trying to find the cure for this thing, and oh, look, big monster tries to eat us all. And obviously, this massive snake, which looks more like a basilisk from Harry Potter, decides to come out and start eating everybody. And so this is a reboot kind of thing, but it is a bit crazy. First of all, it's directed by the guy who directed The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nicolas Cage. So a guy called Tom Gormican. And so the whole idea was that it was very meta. That was Nicolas Cage playing himself. And in this film, they try and do something similar, in which is that you meet Paul Rudd, who is an actor in Hollywood, but he's like a bit part actor. He's not like a star or anything like that. He gets getting like, for him, a win is to have 2 stars on some hospital show where he gets to say, "I'm sorry, doctor, I'm not sure we can save her," or something like that. And then they have this thing at the beginning where he keeps trying to do it different ways, and he ends up getting fired because he keeps trying to make the role bigger than he actually is. And so you meet him, you meet his friend Jack Black, who works in a wedding video business. Tandy Way Newton is there as well as Steve Zahn, and these are a group of people who lived in Buffalo in New York, and when they were young, they used to make films. And it's like Jack Black's birthday. They go back there, they show a film that they used to watch, and and his wife notices how much he lights up, because even though he's working with films and everything like that, making wedding videos is not what he wanted to do, and it's kind of like a dead end thing for him, even though it's like a family business. And the idea is that these guys are fans of the 1997 Jennifer Lopez Anaconda movie. And then Paul Rudd tells them, I've got the rights to Anaconda. And he convinces everybody to go to the jungle, to the Amazon rainforest, to make a reboot of Anaconda. So they write it, they go there, they're going to film it all and everything like that. They're going to hire somebody to go into a boat, everything like that. But wouldn't you know it, as they're trying to make a remake of this film with a monster snake in it, there is actually a monster snake that looks like the basilisk from Harry Potter that starts hunting them down and picking them off one by one. And so it's kind of like a meta thing that could work. It could work. But the thing is, I feel like what I've just told you is the joke. That is the joke of the film. That these people, while they're trying to make a film reboot of Anaconda, Lawrence reboot of Anaconda, they actually end up in an Anaconda film themselves, and the snake starts striking down. That's the joke. This film is not that long. It is about 90 minutes, and it feels long because I feel like that joke cannot sustain 90 minutes. That you kind of go, okay, cool. Okay, we got it. Now move to oh my god, we know it's gonna. Go. No. Okay, fine. and that's Shaun. I don't know how did you feel about it?
Well, do you know what, Tosin? I had a good time with this. I had a really good time. I don't know if it's because I've not seen the original one, so I couldn't really comment. But I'm sure there's lots and lots of nods to it, and definitely a couple of nods towards the end.
Yes, 100%. Let's just say there's cameos.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just really, really enjoyed this, and the decoy scene had me in absolute pouring stitches. I thought, and I'm comedy's very, very hard for me to I've got to be in touch with the comedy. But what I liked about this is it knew what it was, a bit like Bad Boys. It knew what it was. It wasn't taking itself seriously. It wasn't. Whereas I consider the Fast and Furious franchise takes itself
way too seriously.
It's all about family, and that's the difference for me. So I can be very, very forgiving of a film if I know it's like, Bad Boys. Who'd have thought I'd like Bad Boys? If we did this back to hang on in there, baby, with are they M&Ms or Skittles or whatever they are?
But the Skittles, yeah.
Well, the Skittles. So for me, I had a really, really good, enjoyable time with this. This was a real proper surprise. It come over a bit hammy, I guess, but I enjoyed it.
I know that's part of the thing, but and obviously there's things where they have like a love story in there, and they don't even try and hide the fact. That's going to happen from the first scene. That's going to happen from the first scene. That they have Daniela Melchior shows up as a character who ends up being the boat captain. Yeah,
and they tell you, don't they? They tell you in like the. A little bit for the thing when they got like an expert that say that things that anacondas will do, and so you just know when a certain thing happens, so they've told you already.
Yeah, so, they've told you already. They've told you already. Well, I still feel though like that there was too much film for the joke.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like there's too much for the. It's not that long, but even then, I was kind of like, look, we know that's gonna happen, and also in sharp contrast, I think in most creature features, even there needs to be a sense of jeopardy that some of the people you're seeing on screen will not make it to the end. And in the first Anaconda, because, okay, sure, it had people, I reeled off a whole bunch of people, but none of them were like household names. Jennifer Lopez wasn't a household name. Owen Wilson, nobody knew who he was. All that. So you didn't really know who was going to make it to the end of the film. And it's like, even Ice Cube in that film, it was still like showing off that he could be an actor. And it's so, but in this one, when you say Jack Black, Paul Rudd, Tandiwe Newton, Steve Zahn, which one of them is going to get eaten by a snake? And and the thing is, and I spent the film going, I don't think any of them is going to get eaten by a snake. and I'm not going to spoil what happens or anything like that. But yeah, and so yeah. All in all, I agree with you. It's stupid, and it's trying to be stupid. It's trying to be everything like that. But I feel like they could have done a little bit more, because there's one bit where they meet some people on a Hollywood film set, and they kind of go, yeah, I know, no new ideas, right? And I feel like there could have been more kind of satire about this whole idea of remaking something in there. And I feel like there's bits where you can feel like they wanted to do it, but I feel like Sony, the studio, probably told them no. So all in all, I think it's a 2. I think it's a 2, but it's a I think it's a 2. But I think it's a 2, but it's a fun 2. It's a fun 2, but it's a 2 where you know everything that's going to happen and everything like that. I agree with you. And for instance, and Shaun, when you talk about things on being unrealistic, and I know it's an Anaconda movie, and I know we shouldn't be taking this thing too seriously, but there was one scene that really annoyed me. And
I'd love to know what that is.
And it was a scene that I was kind of like, okay, this is an improv scene. This was a scene.
Give me a clue. Oh, I think go on.
It has to do with peeing.
That's the one bit. Do you know what I said? Do you know what? Yes, toes, totally. And I just got to say this. So when I was talking to Happy John, I say, you go see Anaconda, and we were talking because we got a little WhatsApp group, and I was talking on WhatsApp, and I said I really enjoyed it. I really had a good time with this, except for that particular bit. Yes, I know exactly what you mean. And do you know what? And that's what spoiled it. It spoiled it for me a little bit.
That scene, it reeked of the fact of, look, we've got Paul Rudd, we've got Steve Zahn, we've got Andy Newton. These people can improv. They can do. Let's improv something and let's just find somewhere in the film to put. And it doesn't fit.
Doesn't fit. You're exactly right. I know exactly the bit.
And I'm just kind of like, okay, no, you're losing me a bit. So for me, I think it'll have to be a 2. How about you, Shaun?
Okay. Well, for me, it'll probably be a 3, a straight 3 for me. Be a straight 3 for me because I had it. I enjoyed it. I didn't like it, but I totally. Do you know what? I'm going to give it a 2.5 then for the piece.
It's okay. You said a 3. I said a 2. It's already been given a 2.5.
Oh, okay, lovely.
That's a 2.5. All right, cool. And now let us go to Apple TV and let's talk Pluribus. So Sharon, please tell us about Pluribus.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
It's an alien virus has infected the world. Starts off slowly, and then it all comes to a head where on one night everything happens. Where it starts off with 1 or 2 people. Someone's infected. They pass it to someone else. Then they pass it to someone else, and but then it's a bit slow, and then they decide there's enough people now they get to this sort of event horizon, this tipping point, and so then the world basically becomes infected almost overnight.
Yes.
And there are consequences to this, but there are few people, I think it's 12 worldwide.
12 people worldwide, who are not
infected by this virus, who are just immune to it. And they don't know why, but they are just away. And the people who are infected have formed this hive mind. They have one consciousness. And they have a shared consciousness. So your every memory, your every thought, your every skill, your every hobby, your everything you've ever done is shared globally. So if you want to fly an airplane, get the guy who sweeps the road, get the lady, the teenage girl who serves you in McDonald's. She can fly your plane because she has the skills of
the pilot, because the pilot is part of the hive mind.
They're all part of the hive mind, and so we focusing on one of those women who is one of those immune, who is a woman who is in America, in Albuquerque, is it?
Albuquerque, yes.
Who was living with her. She was a successful author of sort of quite niche sort of romantasy novels.
Yes.
Living with her partner, and she her partner has died when the virus took over. That's had a profound effect on her, and she's determined to find out what this is about. And you see the story unfold as her trying to find out what's been going on. What is the virus?
And how she can reverse it.
And can it be reversed, and how does she go about reversing it?
Yeah.
I don't want to give any spoilers away, but that's basically it's one woman against the world, basically.
Yeah. So essentially, the idea being that because 12 people are not infected, so essentially you have 13 people in the world, because you have these 12 people who are not infected, and then everybody else in the world is essentially one person. Essentially, and sorry, I thought I could hear a kid somewhere. Everybody else in the world is essentially one person, and I think that what I like about this show is I like the slow build and the way it goes, and then some of the consequences that it comes up with of what would happen if this actually went about, and the fact that and it's not like a malevolent alien invasion, because all this thing like
happy. No arguments, no.
Yeah, they're all happy. There's no more arguments, and they keep talking to because we see everything through Carol's point of view, played by Rhea Seehorn, and they just keep going, "Oh, Carol, is there anything that we can do to help you? What do you want?" And she, there's things like where she's like, "Oh my god, okay." But let me put it this way: it doesn't matter how outlandish whatever she asks for is, they will give it to her. Like there's a bit where she goes and she's like, she's at a gas station, and she just goes and picks up the phone, and she dials 0, and she goes, "I want an ice cold Snapple," because there's nothing in the thing, and then all of a sudden a drone shows up and brings her a Snapple out of nowhere. And I think that this show is just genius. I think that the way that they do everything, I think that the way that they've thought about what it would mean, the way, because and some of the other characters that you meet, because you meet some of the other characters who are not infected, and you see differing ideas and differing responses to the fact that this has happened to the whole world. Where some think it's an amazing thing, some think this is brilliant and everything.
Yeah, but every fantasy has come to life.
Yeah,
one of the survivors, he has like a harem, and any idea of consent is just like gone, because they want to make him happy. So hey, a woman in every shape, color, size, and height, and whatever.
Yep. Yeah,
want them all, and he has like one of everything basically.
He essentially asked the hive-mind for all the supermodels, and all the supermodels to come hang out with him, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, no problem, no big deal." And I think that there's a lot of questions that I think everybody who watches this will have their own questions about how this works, about what's going. Yeah, and how they react, and I think you would find a character in it that you would react to. But I think it's the best thing about it is the sort of just asking the question and then leaving it up to you to sort of go, "Oh, hang on, what would I do in that? What would I do in that?"
And the blackest of black humor in it as well.
Yes.
Some of them.
Yes, and I feel like, and I think what I was talking about, like, obviously they wanted to go for more seasons, but I think that the way they ended this first season, I was like, I really like that. That is really, really good, because the way they end it, it's kind of like they for me, they do what you have to do: finish a story, finish an arc, but there's another one about to begin. And I feel like they do that brilliantly. And the final line of the season, it's like a callback to something that happens before. It's like, what's gonna happen next? Loved it. I thought it was good. How many stars did you give it, Sharon?
Oh, I thought it was a class. A 4.5.
Yeah, I know it might be early, but this is if this had finished, this is a 5 for me. It's a 5. It is possibly.
What platform is it on, Toes? What platform is it on?
It's on Apple TV.
Apple TV, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's on Apple TV, but honestly,
they seem to make some good series, Apple, don't they?
They don't have a lot of content or masses of content, but they do go for quality, I think, over quantity. So yeah, you don't end up with like 50 new releases a month. You will get like 1 or 2, and they'll say coming in the next 2 weeks. So you normally get fed something every week, every other week. It's not masses of content, but they have.
Although it's getting a lot more. It's getting a lot more. I mean, especially the sci-fi stuff. I mean, I think they seem to focus on sci-fi and say we want
to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are saying, and I've heard a lot of people say this, that that you know what HBO used to be. Apple TV has now taken over that space for HBO, because when you heard about HBO show, you were like, "Oh my god, yeah, I've got to watch this." Even if it's not something I'm really into, I've got to watch it. And they said Apple has taken over that. Right. Okay. So that's 5 stars. Oh no. 5.75. No, 4.75 for Pluribus. Essentially, we think it's great. We think you should watch it. And I think Vince Gilligan, because he did Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, I think the guy's a genius. Anyway, now let's go back to...
See, I don't get that. See, I mean, I'm not really a Breaking Bad fan. I don't know what all the hype is about that. I've tried, but it's not for me. And Better Call Saul, not for me.
Well, no, I have to say Better Call Saul is harder for me, because I love Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul is a lot slower for me. I think I watched the first 2 seasons, and I'm just kind of like, when does it get propulsive? Because the first 2 seasons are not particularly propulsive. But I think this is kind of like he's refined all his storytelling things that he's used in other places, and he's refined them in this one. And this one is is a lot more propulsive and a lot more engaging from the word go. Right, cinemas, Song Sung Blue. Sharon?
Yes, I knew nothing about this. I saw literally that it was on, and so I went to see it. And from the title, I thought that it was almost like a music biopic about Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
And when Hugh Jackman appears and he says, "Hello, my name is Lightning," I thought, "You're not Neil Diamond." I'm watching. so it was almost like a secret screening. But because I turned up and not knowing what it was. But basically, the film is based on a true story, based on a documentary. So at the real events, there's a documentary maker made a film about it in the 1980s.
Yep.
And then that documentary, I think, is inspired with this film. And the film is about a couple who meet. Their stage names became Lightning and Thunder in that order. And they are tribute artists. He started off basically just sort of being like a generic sort of, I sing rock and I sort of do these sorts of things. I like the state fair. So anything you need a Buddy Holly, he can do anything you want. And you need so he will be that voice alike, and then he will try to sort of dress like them or whatever. And then someone says to me, actually, you could do a really good Neil Diamond. And so he becomes to focus on Neil Diamond. And whilst he's on this sort of doing these sort of tribute shows, he meets a woman who does Patsy Cline.
Yeah.
And then they sort of spark it off with each other. They really sort of find it attracted to each other. And they just develop their act of their own, Thunder and Lightning, where they do like a Neil Diamond experience. So they sing his songs, but they bring their own interpretation to them. So they're not just a straight look alike, sound alike, we're going to copy it exactly. It's like they're inspired by Neil Diamond, but he does actually sound like him. And so this is a story of their lives together, the ups and downs, the tragedies and the joys of it. And it's told through the songs, and you see them performing loads and loads of Neil Diamond songs.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very interesting to note that they talk about a lot of songs, but they don't actually sing a lot of the Neil Diamond repertoire. There's certain songs that they sing.
Yeah.
I noticed afterwards they didn't sing any of the songs from the jazz singer. So I don't think they had the rights to those songs.
So you think they were like, what?
So they said, "Hey, what about if we open the show with America?" They never actually sing America. What about if we sing, September Morn? They never sing September. They talk about these songs, but they never actually
sing. These are the kind of things that happen when you watch too many films. You start sitting out there, and then what you're being shown on the film, it doesn't tell you the story of the film. It tells you the story of how they made the film, or what must be going. Like I'm watching Anaconda, going, studio interference. Sharon's watching this, going, they didn't have the rights.
It's quite interesting to me though, because I thought it was a biopic when I saw it. I thought it was going to be a biopic. No?
I did, because when you see the picture on the front, he looks like Neil Diamond because he gets his hair styled and he wears the clothes, but he is like a Neil Diamond tribute thing.
Well, I guess technically speaking, it is a biopic, just not of somebody famous.
Yeah, exactly, not of Neil Diamond, but it is the story of their lives, and it's not just a slightly elevated form of karaoke. They are genuinely performers. They were huge in the 80s. So they were a genuine couple, and they did open for Pearl Jam at one point, and they did sell out this sort of they're still sort of relatively sort of small in terms of, but in their own community they were a really popular singing act. But this is more about their lives. This is a love story about this couple, how they met, how their lives were shaped by their music, and the events that happened to them and the events that they're involved in. So it's more about that. It's this love story about this couple and the trials that they actually went through, and then sort of interspersed with them how the music can be cathartic, and how it brought them together, how it helped them carry on with their lives, their difficulties. He in the film, we don't know how much is absolute sort of gospel truth, but he was a Vietnam War veteran. He was a tunnel rat. He was an recovering alcoholic, had a broken marriage and estranged children. She had a sort of broken marriage, had a traumatic event, which you see depicted in the film. So it's not like a soft sell, but it's like how music could be cathartic, how this relationship kept them going, and how Yeah, it's through the music, all sort of inspired through the music of Neil Diamond and Patsy Cline, because she sings a few Patsy Cline numbers. But Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson both sang all the songs themselves. They sounded good. They sounded enough like the people they were inspired by to make it work. I really enjoyed it, actually. I thought it was well done. We're not going to review this the Salt Path scandal, but when anything says, like based on a true story or based on a memoir,
yeah,
it introduces that elements of how true is it.
Yeah,
and
how,
I think
how much of it is actually true. Yeah,
really true.
Yeah.
So I think this again. I haven't seen the original documentary. I'm aware it exists. I had a quick look on YouTube to see it's out there. It is out there, but I didn't want to watch it, so I don't want to do a compare and contrast. I was like, let the film speak for itself. We're here to review the film.
Yeah.
So as it is, I can't make any judgment on how true it is. I don't know the people involved, but I know that I really enjoyed it. The music was great. Made me appreciate Neil Diamond all over again. I've got some Neil Diamond music. I'm of that age. And I just like the look of it. I just thought it was just really well done.
So how many stars?
I would certainly give it a 3.75.
Dave, what have you done? What have you done with these random arbitrary decimal points? All right, 3.75.
Well, I'm using my Storygraph ratings here because I do a book. I rate all my books, and when you rate books, you have you have whole numbers and they're all dead. 25, 50, 75. So 25, 50, 75. So I can rate it the way I've read my books.
All right, cool. 3.75. I did feel like this was, when I heard about this one, I did feel like it would be a very you kind of film. I feel like this would be in your wheelhouse. Okay, and finally this week we are going to talk about The Tank. So am I right? Is this just a cheap Amazon Prime knockoff of Fury?
Yeah.
Shaun?
Well, actually not.
Oh.
I mean, I did think that. So I thought, yeah, this is going to be. I mean, there's elements of Fury because obviously in a tank and it's a tank crew and certain things happen. But so this takes place in late war. It's not
World
long
War
before
II,
the surrender.
right?
Yeah, late World War II. Yeah, and it's this crew of this Tiger tank. And it starts off on a bridge and they've got to let all the infantry retreat and everything like that. Certain things happen, and there's a lot of flashbacks of what's going on, and the tank commander, he's looking at a picture of his wife and child and whatever. That you find out later on that that obviously it was bombing and all things like that. So this story, there's not a huge amount of action scenes in it. The action scenes are really, really good, and it takes place in this Kurland pocket where they're surrounded. The Russians have got them surrounded, and so you've got this company that are holding somewhere in the line, so that they're like on this line. They're in trenches. They're and it's a little bit. Have you ever seen Cross of Iron, Sharon? So yeah, you got sort of vibes of Cross of Iron if anyone's seen that. So they're all in the trenches. You've got the artillerymen, you've got the machine gunners, you've got mines, you've got all the, and I mean it's a hodgepodge of Germans from SS troops to paratroopers to mountain, and they've all sort of gone together, which they did in the war. They actually did. The Germans were really, really good at putting together ad hoc units of just getting people together. So yeah, and then they're given the mission. So the tank crew are given this mission. They get a mission, but they have to do it. It's an individual mission. They have to do it on their own. They have to go off on their own. And then there's a couple of action sequences where they go. What amazed me with this film, I would say, the acting wasn't terrifically good, but the equipment was just like to die for. I mean, they had IS-2s and JS, so they just had all the machine guns. It was everything, the different types of weapons. Everything in this.
So when they say you could see the money on the screen, Shaun is like, you could see the money on the screen, but it wasn't the actors.
It wasn't the actors. Yeah, the acting's pretty. It's really, really weird because I don't think this is dubbed. It's in English. It's a German film with Germans, but I didn't. I mean, whether it was dubbed, I don't know. But it seemed to be the mouths were in time with the English of what they were saying. But the uniforms are, I don't know, just pucker. The tanks are pucker, and for me, I mean, that, as I say, for me, looking at that side of it, I really, really enjoyed it.
So is this a German film?
I don't know, Toes. I don't know. I only saw it on. So you'll have to do the research. So anyway, this crew, they have to go on this mission, and they, I mean, it's really, let's say, shades of Apocalypse Now come to mind. Not on that scale, but the mission itself. So it becomes a bit more. There's not huge action sequences. The ones that are very good. There's a bit in it that I thought, could they do that? Could they do that? Maybe it's an experimental tank or whatever, or an experimental thing. But then at the end of the film, you think, oh, okay, I can see. So it's not what the ending is. It's difficult to say. The ending is,
Tell us about the vibes. Tell us about the vibes
It's a strange film. It's sort of, what's Apocalypse Now? What's that book? The
Heart of Darkness.
Heart of Darkness. Yeah. So it becomes very much like that. But the one bit in it, and I'm going to say thing is, when the Germans actually surrender, the people are saying, look, you can have 5 people from your squad, and so if you pick the people and they're going through always married, it's just, to me, I just really found this totally authentic. The acting, I think, was not particularly good. To be fair, the acting, I did not really, it was. But the film itself, I didn't really have much of a problem with it in the way of things that happened, except for the couple of scenes which I thought, but then in the end, I can understand why it was done. So it's like, I'm cool with that. So yeah.
It is, and just so it is a German film. In German, it was called Der Tiger.
Der Tiger. Okay.
Yeah, it was called Der Tiger, and I think it is a German film that has been very cleverly dubbed into English for Prime.
Right. Okay. Because the dubbing's great. Then the dubbing's really good. So thank you for that, Tosin. I'm glad you turned that.
No problem. So
yeah.
So how many stars would you give this?
Okay, it's a strange one. This, but I'm going to give it a 4.25. We've been good. The start of the year has been really good for the things that I've seen. So I just hope it can continue. I'm sure there'll be a few hiccups along the way, but hey.
Okay, cool, good. No, of course there'll be hiccups. I mean, we're gonna get Angry Shaun before long. Come on.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some horror movie that makes no sense.
Remember, I said you've got to pick one for me.
Well,
on Amazon. So you can say, so if you have a look at what's on Amazon, say, Shaun, you need to watch this. What you think? I'm going to get a reaction, because I do it like we did with Playdate or whatever it was called.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, yeah. Actually, there has been some stuff I've been looking at.
Season 4 is coming out soon.
Bridgerton
season 4.
Oh, right, okay. Okay, well, I did quite like that Fackenham Hall, whatever it was called.
Oh, Fackenham Hall. Oh, you watched that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we haven't reviewed that. Okay,
have we not reviewed that?
We haven't reviewed that.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay, so maybe next week I'll put that down with Avatar, because there's bound to be a slow week at some point where there's no films in the cinema.
I watched that. I went to see that with Happy John, because he said he went to see
Downton Abbey, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Mum used to like Downton Abbey, didn't she?
Because his mum, So I went with that I went to Happy John to watch that, because it's something I probably wouldn't have worried too much. But yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So then all that's left to do is that with this brave new world of adding decimal points to our ratings out of 5, who do you think has won this week?
It's a bit all up in the air, I think.
The decimal points have messed the whole show up.
Anaconda's going to let it down.
Yeah, I think streaming, because of Pluribus. I think that sort of punches streaming in the face this week. Streaming punches cinema in the face this week. Yeah.
It is a bit like that. If this is a boxing match, it is a bit like like that. You have had this. Oh, this has brought that down, and that was taking it up. So yes, streaming has won this week. Streaming heard that cinema won all of 2025, and streaming is annoyed about it and has come out swinging at the beginning of 2026 with an average of 4 in our first week. But cinema has had an average of 3.61. So honestly speaking, not that bad.
Not that bad. No. It's at least that's good. Yeah,
it's not that bad. It has been worse. Okay, so until next week, when we might talk about Avatar. As you can see, we might be dying to talk about Avatar. Yeah, and maybe Fackenham Hall, and we'll see what else is on TV and see what else it is that we get to watch. Maybe Shaun and I will actually finish watching Fallout Season 2. Who knows?
Yes. Yeah.
Until that time.
Yeah, I think there's Gen V as well that I started.
I finished Gen V Season 2.
Oh yeah, okay. Does it? I mean, does it get better, Toast? I've seen the first 2.
It does get better. It does get better, but it does a thing that I find that sometimes they started doing at the end of these seasons, which I find a little bit annoying.
Okay.
It does something I find a little bit annoying that I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil until you maybe eventually watch it maybe one day. But it's but until that time, until next week, it is a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Thank you for listening so far. If you have anything to say, please do find us on YouTube, which seems to be the place where it's all kicking off. Find us on YouTube, which is Netflix via Cinema, and comment on our podcast. Comment on anything. Tell us what it is you think. Like, unfortunately, we're out of time. There was something I was going to read about somebody on our short, which is titled, "Does Hollywood love dogs too much?" And, I went off on a rant sometime last year about whether Hollywood loves dogs too much, and somebody has commented as just that point for things on the internet. But anyway, please, if you want to do that, please do come to this. But in the meantime, thank you for listening this far, and have a great 2026. Happy New Year, everybody.